Good morning, everyone. I'm G. Ramani, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, BB Raju Institute of Technology, Narsapur. And today's course title is Information Security. And the concept what we will be going to discuss is the aspects of security. And this concept aspects of security is from the unit, the first unit, Introduction and Secret Key Cryptography. And the course objective of this unit 1 is to understand different types of attacks, services, mechanisms, and basic cryptographic techniques and the secret keys. Before going to the aspects of security, we'll come to know the main purpose of security, why we have to discuss about the information security. We all know that we have node A. Just assume that we have two nodes, node A and node B, and we have a medium in between this node A and node B, where the information is transmitted from one node to the other node. And here there is a chance of the opponents to hack the data or to modify the data, or misuse the data or the information on this network. So we have to secure the information which has been transmitted from one node to the other node. So basically the main practice of this information security is to prevent unauthorized access or any modifications or any destruction of the information during the transmission of the data from one node to the other node on a particular network model. And to do this basic practice, we have some confidential tools. And for our reference, we have a particular hierarchy of tools over here where we can discuss before going to discuss about the aspects of security. And the first one is encryption. So during the transmission of the information from node 1 or node A to node B, we can secure our information with the help of encryption. So what do you mean by encryption is, with the help of some algorithms or any keys, we can encrypt the plain text into a ciphertext. We have a message where we use a particular key to this message to get a particular ciphertext. This ciphertext is in the form of encryption. So where we are providing some information security. And next one is access control. So only authorized persons can have the access on a particular information. So based on this access control, we can provide information security. Authentication. So during the transmission of the data or during any communication between two nodes on a particular network, we have to check it out whether we are speaking or we are communicating to an authenticated person or not, whether he is the right person or not. Authorization. The person who has the access, only that entity should communicate to the other entity. So that is called as authorization. And the last one we have here is the physical security, where we can provide some physical security for this information, as for example, the firewalls. Is the best example where we can provide physical security for your transmitted information. And now we'll just move to the aspects of security. And before going into that, we'll just discuss about the main principles what we have for the information security. The basic principles what we have are three. That is the confidentiality, integrity, and the availability. Coming to the confidentiality, during the transmission of the information onto a network model, we have to maintain confidentiality. That is, the information shouldn't be disclosed to any of the unauthorized entity. So we have to maintain confidentiality on a particular network during information transmission. The best example where we can discuss over here is the login credentials. where we have our own login credentials. With the help of this login credentials, only the authorized person will have the access onto the information. And the next one is the integrity. When we discuss about this integrity, we have to maintain completeness of the data. That is, we can talk about authentication, authentication as well as authorization. Authorization. These are the two terms where we can discuss for your integrity. That is, when we talk about this authentication, we have to discuss about the right entity who are communicating on the uh, channel, and authorization is the authorized person to access the channel. And that is, for example, the authorized person have to edit or modify the information. Unauthorized persons cannot modify the data. So we have to maintain the integrity. To maintain the integrity, we have to check it out, the authentication part as well as the authorization part. And the next principle here we have is availability. Availability in the sense, availability of the information, availability of the resources on a particular session is more important. Information availability. So the information is available only to the authorized access entities. So we have to maintain the authorized access uh, for that particular session. So these are the three principles where we have to maintain the confidentiality, integrity, and the availability. Now we'll just move to our concept, that is aspects of security. So here we have the three aspects of information security. The first one, what we have here is the security attack, and the other one is security mechanisms, and the last one is your security services. And now we'll discuss about the security attacks. So basically, the security attacks are of three. They have been categorized into three. And initially, we'll discuss about the two attacks. Those are passive attack and the active attacks. And coming to the passive attacks, these are the attacks where the entity or the opponent will just take the information which has been transmitted from one node to the other node. For example, here we have two types of passive attacks. The first one is release of message, and the other one is traffic analysis. Traffic analysis. So we'll discuss about the first one, that is release of message. So during the transmission of the information from node A to the node B, the opponent will enter into a particular network or into the medium where he will just grab or capture the information which has been transmitted to the other entity. So he's just taking the information. So for example, here we have the picture of this passive attack, that is the message, release of message contents. See, for example, here we have the two entities, Bob and Alice. These two are the different entities where they are having the communication, but the opponent Dart, he is taking the information from the Bob and he is just reading the message which has been transmitted to the Alice. That is, entering any file, or he is not modifying anything, but he is just taking the message of the content. This is what is the release of message content, whatever it has been shared to Alice from Bob. And the next one is your traffic analysis. So here in the traffic analysis, the same whatever we have discussed in the release of message, here is also the Dart is taking the message from the Bob which has been transmitted to the Alice, the Dart is taking. But what he is doing here in this traffic analysis, he is analyzing the frequency of message. He is analyzing the frequency of message, like the length of the message, or the pattern of message. So all these things he is analyzing. So from this, he'll get an idea the communication what the Bob wants to communicate to Alice. This is one type of passive attacks. And then now we'll just move to the other attacks, that is active attacks. Active attacks can be defined as modification of the data. So in the passive attack, the DAT or the opponent did not do any modifications over there. But when it comes to the active attacks, so here there the opponents will do some modifications or creating a file, adding a file, etc. So here this active attacks have been subdivided into 4 types. Those are masquerade, replay, modification of the message, and denial of service. These are the 4 different types of active attacks. And now we'll discuss about the masquerade attack. So masquerade attack is an attack where the opponent will behave as an original entity and he will communicate to the other entity. For example, here we have the Bob and Alice. These are the 2 entities, authorized entities where they are communicating. But in masquerade attack, what's happening? The opponent Darth is pretending as if he is Bob and he is communicating to the Alice. So this type of attacks, this type of transmission of the data from the opponent to the Alice is called as masquerade attacks. And the next one is, in that they may take few privileges of the authorized persons as if they are behaving as a authorized entity. And the next type of active attack is replay. So here in the replay, it involves the passive capture of the message which has been sent to the other entity. For example, here we have the Bob and the Alice, where the Bob is transmitting a particular information to the Alice, but the opponent, he is capturing the message which has been transmitted to the Alice. The same message he is capturing, opponent has been capturing the message which has been sent to the Alice. And the third active attack is modification of messages. In the modification of messages, here whatever the Bob, the 2 entities here we have is Bob and Alice, where they are transmitting a particular information in that particular session. In this modification of the messages, the opponent, what he is doing is, whatever the message the Bob wants to transmit to the Alice, the opponent is taking the messages and he is doing some modification. He's doing some modification and again he is transmitting the message to the Alice. That is, the original message has not been sent from Bob to Alice. First, the message has been sent or received by the opponent called Darth, and he has been modified the message and transmitted to the Alice. And this is a type of modification of messages. And the last one is denial of service. And this denial of service, in this attack, it prevents or inhibits the normal use or the management of communication. That is, the entities, the Bob, he won't get the entity, he won't get the services, whatever he should get. Inhibits the normal use or management of the communication. That is, he won't get the services, whatever he should get. For example, here we have the Bob and the server. That is, he'll be getting the services of a particular server. In the denial of the service, the opponent, he won't give the services to the Bob. That is, he prevents the services, or he just inhibits the normal use from the server to the Bob. So this type of attack is called as a denial of service attack, which we have to check it out. And now we have the last slide, that is what we have learned. Here we have few cluster of questions over here which are based on the on today's concept, that is aspects of security. And the course outcome, what we have for this unit 1 for this concept is we are applying the cryptographic algorithms to perform encryption and decryption and to identify the type of attack and its preventive mechanisms. And in our next video, we'll discuss about the security services and mechanisms. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.